This time we bring out the big guns with Angelina Jolie, Al Pacino, Clint Eastwood, Keanu Reeves, and Dolly Parton. During her career, Angelina Jolie has generated more than her fair share of gossip column inches. Still, she never ceases to be amazed by the public's insatiable appetite for celebrity gossip.
No, sometimes, I think it's more the world we live in, that people seem more focused on what people are wearing and who people are dating than other things in the world. So I'm less frustrated about it for me personally, more just thinking about that that's society. So it's strange.
As an actress, she's won 3 Golden Globes and an Oscar. And as a committed UN Goodwill ambassador, she's raised global awareness of the plight of Africa's refugees and AIDS victims. And still, she can't shake the media's obsession with her private life. But then she does make fascinating reading. The daughter of Oscar-winning actor Jon Voight, Angelina had been married and divorced twice by the age of 27. Once to her Hackers co-star Johnny Lee Miller, and then to actor-director Billy Bob Thornton. Single once more, the media zoomed in on her private life, romantically linking the openly bisexual Tomb Raider star to everyone and anyone she met.
I'm rumored to be dating everybody, but no, I'm not at the moment.
Earmarked as a potential homewrecker, she finally fulfilled the prophecy on teaming up with Brad Pitt for the thriller Mr. and Mrs. Smith. After months of speculation that they were having an affair, Brad's wife, Jennifer Aniston, announced the end of the marriage, and Angelina finally had her man, much to the relief of every other wife in Hollywood. Another source of paparazzi fascination has been Angelina's penchant for adopting orphans.
I do love to adopt, and it feels very natural for me to adopt children. My son is my son, and so I think if children need a home, to adopt them is wonderful, you know. And I will be looking into you know, the orphans that have just just lost their parents, but you know, always wherever there's a need. So we'll see how big my family grows over time.
So far, the ranks have swelled to 5. 4 adopted and 1 fathered by Brad that Angelina found the time to give birth to herself, while holed up under tight security in Namibia. But barely had she given birth than she was back out in the field doing humanitarian work. Despite narrowly escaping a kidnap attempt in India, Angelina has vowed she will never give up travelling to dangerous places in her mission to help people.
To receive an award for something that has been the greatest privilege in my life is quite a strange thing, but it means a lot to me. Second to my children, spending time with refugees and other persons of need around the world has been the greatest gift. It's been the greatest life lesson I could ever receive.
Somewhere in between adopting half the third world and her humanitarian work, she still manages to squeeze in being one of Hollywood's top female stars. After one outing as Tomb Raider's cyber heroine made flesh, she strapped the holsters to her thighs a second time for Cradle of Life.
Going into the second one, we changed her. I think if people see the second film, they'll see that she's grown up in some way, and she's sexier in a different way, and she's more of a woman. So I like her better now.
She starred opposite Ethan Hawke as FBI profiler Ileana Scott in the thriller Taking Lives.
There's only one thing I like.
She then provided the voice for Lola, the provocative angelfish in DreamWorks' animation Shark Tale.
So secret, they don't know.
Then came the pairing with Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where she plays an assassin forced to take out her own husband. The movie earned $478 million worldwide, with a third of Angelina's share reportedly donated to charity.
It's gotta be kidding.
The following year, as well as giving birth to Shiloh Nouvelle, she co-starred with Matt Damon in The Good Shepherd.
I'm very fond of
She also had a few words of advice for George W. Bush.
Really, at the end of the day, I would ask him to really think hard about his children's future and the kind of life he's leaving for his grandchildren one day, and to separate himself from all the other stuff he's done and to start to think about himself as the legacy he's going to leave, and that he could be a part of ending poverty. And we really can do it now. We can afford to do it now. And it's a shame and it's a disgrace if we don't. And I don't think anybody should want to leave that legacy to their children. Forget your presidency, just that.
Actor Al Pacino admits he has been in 1 or 2 memorable films.
I don't look at them, but I tell you, if I had to pick a few of films that I think had some, especially as a Godfather, there's Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon, and Scarface, of course, I think. So there's name a few.
Alfredo James Pacino was born in 1940 in New York. Growing up in the Bronx, he sought sanctuary in school plays, and in the 60s he studied with method acting father Lee Strasberg. His first break came in the mafia epic The Godfather in 1972, beating Warren Beatty, Robert Redford and Robert De Niro to the part of Michael Corleone, which won him his first Oscar nomination.
Better cut your tongue out.
His performance in Serpico as an honest cop in a corrupt force won him more acclaim. Then came Sidney Lumet's classic film Dog Day Afternoon, in which Al plays real-life robber John Wachkowicz, who holds up a bank to pay for his gay lover's sex change operation.
I am in charge. I don't want to talk to some flunky pig trying to say hello to my little friend.
But the Al Pacino movie that has stayed freshest in everyone's memory has to be Brian De Palma's Scarface, hailed for Al's towering performance as the Cuban immigrant Tony Montana.
Yeah.
It became a cult movie influencing generations of audiences and directors, and recently enjoyed a 20th anniversary re-release.
Oh, I'm really excited about that, about people seeing it for the first time, especially seeing it on a big screen, because Brian De Palma's direction is evident, much more evident on a big screen, I think. And most people haven't seen it on a big screen. I mean, because 20 years ago, so we're going to have a lot of 30-year-olds in the audience, I guess.
After Scarface, Al spent much of the rest of the 80s doing stage productions. But in the 90s, he returned to the big screen and finally won an Oscar for his portrayal of the retired blind lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade in Scent of a Woman. In 1995's Heat, he shared the screen with the actor he's most frequently compared to, Robert De Niro.
It keeps me sharp, on the edge, where I gotta be.
John Milton.
Kevin Lomax.
Well, what's that like? One day you're putting them away.
He then played Satan in the supernatural drama The Devil's Advocate. His affinity for dark characters won him a Golden Globe then for his portrayal of the devilish right-wing fixer Roy Cohn in Angels in America. On the eve of the release of his 2002 film Insomnia, Al talked about his approach to acting.
It's important for me to approach a role and try to find the personal connections I can make to it. And if it's depicting a certain theme, if I'm successful at it, is how close I get to expressing how I feel about this theme, like the theme of this movie, and through the characters how I express it. You know, if I were, and that there was an opportunity in this picture, as we had discussed, to go after a certain idea about what it is to wish for something.
This kindness.
When he took on the challenge of playing Jewish moneylender Shylock in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, he was frank about a career that's included as many misses as hits.
You're single born, and in a merry sport, if you reach.
Sometimes I've made choices in roles for the really wrong reasons. Sometimes I did parts just to work, to be active, but I always tried to find a reason to do a movie.
Humble words for an actor who was recently voted the greatest movie star of all time in a UK poll conducted by Channel 4. His peers were also filled with awe when he was recently presented with the American Cinematheque Award.
I wish I could say more about what's in my heart right now, but I've always needed a writer. That's part of the deal here with me. Anybody who says, Al, do you ever write? I said, I wish. I always say, I wish I did, but...
Having received a Lifetime Achievement Award, is it perhaps time to think about bowing out?
I think so sometimes when I'm not doing it. I think, you know, this is something I could, you know, I think I go on, I have my children, and I think I can do fine in life. And then I read something or see something, and that thing comes, and, you know, I'm really glad. So I don't think I would ever stop.
Phew. After weathering more than 50 years in the movie business, you'd think Clint Eastwood will be used to receiving the odd Lifetime Achievement Award. But when he arrived to accept a Britannia recently, he was dubious about the honour.
They were very nice to nominate me or whatever, present me with a Lifetime Achievement. I'm not always sure about a Lifetime Achievement Award. You never quite know exactly whether they're telling you to hit the road or hang around a while. So, but anyway, it's a nice event, and I'm happy to be here.
Waiting to receive the Stanley Kubrick Award, fellow honoree Sidney Poitier summed him up.
I think he is a quintessential American director. I think as an actor, he need not be spoken of except in the highest of regard. And I'm a fan, and I count myself a friend.
At the Directors Guild Awards, fellow actor turned director George Clooney thought he showed promise.
Clint, he's an up-and-comer. His name is Clint Eastwood, but I think he's going to make it. I think he's got a shot. It's hard because he was on like Rawhide, so it's hard to pull out of television and into film, but I think he's got a shot.
And George must have a good memory. Clint Eastwood got his start as Rowdy Yates in the long-running TV series Rawhide way back in 1959, before taking a step up to the big screen to play the man with no name in Sergio Leone's series of spaghetti westerns. In for a fistful of dollars and the good, the bad and the ugly, he redefined the American cowboy and became an instant international star.
The bad. The ugly.
He immortalised another bunch of snarling, hard-bitten heroes before being cast as the trigger-happy Inspector Callahan in the Dirty Harry movies, which gave birth to a string of loose cannon cop films and Dirty Harry quotes.
When are we going to double back?
He started dabbling with directing in the mid-70s, churning out morality westerns like High Plains Drifter and The Outlaw Josie Wales. And he has since won many more accolades for his directing talents.
With any luck, we'll find him by nightfall or in the morning.
In 2002, he took out the Best Picture Oscar for Unforgiven. The following year, he scored another Best Picture nomination for Mystic River, starring Sean Penn and Tim Robbins. 2 years later, he was back again, winning both Best Picture and Best Director for $1 Million Baby, which also won Hilary Swank her second Best Actress Oscar. Despite his success, he's far from complacent.
When the hell are they gonna get to her?
I'm okay, Frankie.
What did you learn tonight?
Always protect myself.
What's the rule?
Always protect myself.
Margaret Fitzgerald?
Here.
I'll be right here.
Now, when you make them, you just think you make them, and then it's up to fate to see what where they're going to end up in the perspective of things.
Next, he embarked on back-to-back movies about the Second World War. One, Flags of Our Fathers, from an American perspective. The other, Letters from Iwo Jima, centered on the experience of Japanese soldiers.
In Letters of Iwo Jima, I think it's important for not only the Japanese, but for the rest of the world also to know what people were facing then. We all know it because of propaganda that was popular at that time and the Japanese military expansionist government of that time, but we don't know it from the common man, the kind of person that is ripped out of their home, ripped away from their family, and sent off to great probability of never seeing them again.
Letters from Iwo Jima won Clint yet another nomination for Best Picture in 2007, serving notice that he is a long way from calling it a day.
Thank you. It's, can we just call this maybe a midlife time achievement award? I don't have any immediate plans to hang things up.
Conceived in Hawaii, born in Lebanon, and raised in Canada, Keanu Reeves grew up with a very interesting mix of influences. Which ones he drew on for his portrayal of Ted Logan in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989 is anyone's guess. He sealed his airhead image with the follow-up Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And after getting poor reviews for Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1994, the media regularly portrayed him as an acting lightweight, which didn't harm his career. The same year, he scored the lead role in the thriller Speed, which set him up as a big-screen action man and introduced him to Sandra Bullock.
He's letting me off.
What?
Just keep circling, you'll be fine.
It was at the, well, you were auditioning for Speed.
Yeah, he already had the part.
I had the part. But I was still figuring the role out, figuring things out, and we had the scene where Jack Trevin and Annie are on the bus, and I remember.
And I had it with the imaginary.
With the imaginary.
This is where you commit to your craft and go, I look like an ass. I look like an ass.
Yeah.
And then we were on the floor, and then he started talking like Elvis.
And you said, "Who are you, Elvis?"
I think I was cute.
Yeah.
You did?
Known for his incredible generosity, he waived his salary for the 1997 film Devil's Advocate to leave room in the budget to cast Al Pacino. He reportedly did the same again in The Replacements to ensure the casting of Gene Hackman. Having richly earned great karma, he bagged the action role of the decade as the hero Neo in the sci-fi extravaganza The Matrix. While the first film was only a modest box office hit, the two sequels went nuclear.
You know the difference between the dream world.
I mean, I really love the films, and so hopefully people will, love them as well. So it's great to be a part of something that people, enjoy.
Of the estimated $70 million he earned from the franchise, Keanu reportedly only kept $20 million, sharing out the balance amongst the stuntmen and crew, saying that he already had enough to live on for several centuries. In 2003, he received great reviews for his supporting role in Something's Gotta Give, in which he plays a doctor competing for the affections of Diane Keaton.
What were you doing when the pain started?
I was kissing a beautiful woman.
It was one of the best scripts I've ever read, and Something's Gotta Give. I think Nancy Myers wrote a beautiful script. It's just funny, touching, and a great role, and to work with something that goes from, if I was going to contrast them, I'd say the formalism of The Matrix and going to something that's so naturalistic is something it's got to give us great opportunity as an actor, and it's something that I hope to be able to do, different kinds of roles, different kinds of films.
True to his word, he went on to play comic book hero Constantine, before rekindling the flame with Sandra Bullock in The Lake House, a supernatural romance about a magical mailbox that brings together two lonely hearts who happen to live 2 years apart. He then broke new ground with A Scanner Darkly, bringing a graphic novel to life with live-action photography overlaid with an advanced animation process. Also starring Winona Ryder and Woody Harrelson, the film is so complex and innovative that Keanu finds it hard to describe.
Booby-trapping my house.
Okay.
I mean, geez. Or as the Germans would say, Liza, which translates
Richard
to...
Linklater, the director, set out to make a comedy and a tragedy, a social commentary. It's an adaptation from a great Philip K. Dick novel, one of the great American novelists and writers. So it's got something to say about the world we live in. There's a little romance. It's funny. It's a little sinister. It's cautionary. So I think it's a multi-layered, kind of genre and ambitious, original film.
Well, I tumble out of bed and stumble to the kitchen and pour myself.
Famously claiming it costs a lot to look this cheap, Dolly Parton is the first to admit she's a little larger than life.
If I hadn't been born a woman, I'd have been a drag queen, because I love all the glitter and the glare and the flamboyance, and you know, I know how the drag queens love to get it all on, and I love, even as a woman, I look like a drag queen as a woman. I'm just a little over the top, but I just love that.
Born the fourth of 12 children in a dilapidated cabin in the Smoky Mountains, Dolly wasted no time in using her singing and songwriting talent to dig her way out of the dirt. By the age of 20, she'd made her way to Nashville, landed a recording contract, and married asphalt contractor Carl Dean, who remains her husband to this day. In the early years, much of her success came from writing songs for other people like Hank Williams Jr. and Skeeter Davis. In 1974, she topped the country music charts with her song, I Will Always Love You. When Whitney Houston released the same song in 1992, it became the biggest-selling hit ever written and performed by a female artist, and earned Dolly $6 million. In all, she's published over 600 songs, and is showing no sign of slowing down in her 60s.
Who's 60? I'm not 60. I said I'm 60. I didn't say 60. S-E-X-T-Y.
Well, that's you too.
Well, actually, I've been around a long time, but I don't feel any different than I did when I first went to Nashville in 1964 when I was just 18 years old. And so, you know, it's a good time in my life. I'll try to be the best 60 I can be, just like I was the best 50, 40, 30. And when I get on up there, I hope to still be working and being creative and energetic, and I look forward to every day. I wake up with new dreams all the time, so you never get too old to dream or fantasize or be creative.
In the 80s, she branched out into acting when Jane Fonda cast her as the brassy Dorothy Rhodes in comedy classic 9 to 5. Dolly also wrote the film's theme, which went on to be a huge hit and won her an Oscar nomination for Best Song. She recently reunited with co-stars Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda to celebrate the film's 25th anniversary.
Well, it's always fun, this movie, what it's done. It's just amazing to me that it's 25 years old and how long it's lasted, and the fact that it had a good message then, it has a good message now. I don't know how much it's changed, you know, the world and the way they look at things, but I think what's great about this movie is that it's still entertaining.
So entertaining, in fact, that it's been turned into a Broadway musical.
They asked if I would do all the music since I wrote the theme song, and I said I'll give it a try. So I got into it. It really came real easy for me, real natural. And I've written about 18 pieces that they've kept and that they liked, and so they'll have to narrow them down. And it's supposed to come out, if things go as planned, it's supposed to come out in the fall of 2007. But I know I must keep traveling till my road comes to an end.
She was nominated again for her song Traveling Through, which underpinned the 2005 film Trans-America, starring Felicity Huffman.
It's a different thing from 9 to 5 because in that one, I was totally involved in that one. It was my first movie, and I wrote the song while I was on the set. This movie was already done, already put together, and mine was the last thing to be actually added into it when Duncan Tucker, who wrote and directed it, wanted me to write the song, and I kicked it around for a while, and I thought, well, I don't know if it's going to come or not, because I don't know if I'll have the time. And then one morning I woke up and I got it. It just all hit me, and so I wrote it down. And so next thing I know, I was nominated. But it's still just as exciting. You never get too old or callous not to appreciate those kind of wonderful things.